This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Welcome back to another Mackem in the Middle podcast. Sunderland were back in league action yesterday evening, facing Accrington in a game that did finish 2-0, with Ross Stewart getting his debut goal and Charlie White getting his 27th of the season. And John and Michael are with me to talk about another win and another clean sheet. How are you getting on?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate.
All right, winning games, keeping clean sheets. This positivity thing's quite nice, but hopefully it continues.
Hopefully it does. And John, like I say, a clean sheet, 2 goals, 3 points. I think that was our 13th clean sheet of the year. I'm sure the Sunderland day will come, but for now, just everything around the club is positive, isn't it?
Yeah, massively positive. I don't like to brag, but that's the sort of performance I was expecting. Maybe goals, maybe to come a little bit earlier. But you know, it wasn't going to be an amazing game, I don't think. But you know, we just got the job done, and like you say, everything on and off the field at the moment is just absolutely slotted in. And you know, we've been through plenty of shit. So in fairness, we do deserve this. And yes, it's a good time to be a Mackem. Hence, you know, the last few years haven't been.
It is. And Michael, every game, as I said last week, is a must-win. But wins like this realistically mean nothing if we don't go and back up these wins with wins against the likes of Lincoln and the teams around us. And like I say, we do have Lincoln on Saturday, so you know we have to win them games as well before we can actually, I suppose, get excited about wins like this.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, the Saturday itself, for an example, is a pretty big opportunity to put some daylight between ourselves and Lincoln, because obviously we went above them, didn't we? So yeah, that's a pretty big thing. If you go above
with 2 games in hand as well.
Well, I think we've got 1 game in hand. I think they played at the weekend against Rochdale.
Oh, yeah.
Final. But nevertheless, if we win, again, it's not a given. As much as I would love it to be, it's not a given. You've got to go out and actually earn the result. But I'd be disappointed not to beat Lincoln. I really would be. I think out of all the teams at the top, I think Lincoln are the ones who have so far this season have been great. But they've said it themselves on occasions this season that they're ahead of schedule. So in that sense, I think I'd be very disappointed not to get 3 points again. But it also wouldn't shock me either, because it would just be a classic Sunderland thing to sort of get your mood right back down again. But it's a big opportunity. If you go 5 points ahead of Lincoln with a game in hand, forget that game in hand, because that won't be for a few weeks after that. But if you go 5 points above them, you can start to really pull away from the teams below you, which in the event we don't get top 2, it's important to make sure you guarantee a place in the playoffs. But as you said, it's just about it's the 2 key words that are bandied about at the minute, and I said it on my own channel: confidence and momentum. At the moment, currently, Sunderland have both of those, and like John said, I think it wasn't the prettiest of games from what I did see of it. It was, but Accrington never is. Accrington, I mean, the pitch for starters looked atrocious, and Accrington always end up playing this aggressive hoofball style. Can actually play some decent football at times, to be fair to them, but that's the sort. I mean, if you look at it, right, I know it was at the very start of the season, but Peterborough went and lost there. They will not be the only two. There will be plenty of decent sides to have lost away at Accrington Stanley, and you know they've got themselves into a respectable position for a club of their size. As much as I try not to be disrespectful, but I'm probably going to be sounding it anyway. So that's a big result, and it's good that we made 5 changes, I believe. I know I'm going to continue this
Following
the next
trend
podcast, but to make, I think it was 4 or 5 changes we made from the game at the weekend against Tranmere, and we still managed to win and keep a clean sheet. That to me says a lot of volume. Then watch us go and make it up on Saturday. So I'm going to try and end it with a bit of realism.
Well, yeah, the team that did start yesterday. Again, I don't think anyone really is 100% on the formation, but I'd put it down as a 4-back, although I think it could have been a 3. But Lee Persian goal, a back 4, of Conor McLaughlin, Dion Sanderson, Luke O'Nien, and Jake Vogans. Lyndon Gooch, Max Power, Carl Winchester, Aidan McGeady, Jack Diamond, and Charlie Wyke. And John, the one real surprise in the starting 11 was Jack Diamond starting. What did you make of that one?
I thought it was quite a positive change, and I think we're trying to play like we do without Jordan Jones. So the same formation, but just sort of maybe a like for like replacement. Obviously, we know Jones is a level above Diamond. The only thing I would say about Diamond actually starting was you can't really start him against teams that are just they seem to sort of sit in, and there wasn't a lot of space for him to run into. So it was pointless having him really. He was just sort of crowded out. Maybe would have been, it's hindsight, but maybe would have been an idea to maybe sticking Chris Maguire in there. Probably a bit unlucky not to start, or even to get quite a decent chunk. But yeah, if he's put his chest out and said, I'll select Diamond, giving him his chance, didn't really take it. I don't think it didn't really work. But fair play to Johnson for obviously hooking him at half time and making a positive change. When have years gone by, when have we made a positive substitution change at half time when it's not really going our way? So you got to give credit to Johnson for that. But yeah, unlucky for Diamond, but he's at least there's people are getting the chances though to try and prove themselves.
Yeah. And Michael, we talk about squad depth quite a lot, but it's not just the depth of the squad, but also the versatility of the squad. You see Power back in midfield, having played right back at the weekend. McLaughlin at centre half, he's played full back a few times. O'Nien at centre half, having played midfield. The options Lee Johnson has really gives him the chance to explore in the last 10. I'm not sure how many games left, but the last run of the season, I'll say.
Well, it's something that's going to be vital towards the end of the season, isn't it? Because to be fair, after Lincoln, for example, we have a week off between them and Bristol Rovers, I think, which is the first time a week off for about 2 months. So, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. We've literally had a game like every 4 days. Yeah. In April, in particular, we're going to have, I think I looked it up, we're going to have 8 fixtures. If I'm right, I think it's 8 games in the league in April. And this is where the squad depth will really come into it. And one of the things I will point out on the versatility thing that you mentioned was that one of the biggest criticisms under Phil Parkinson was that when teams figured us out, we didn't have a response to that. Whereas this time, I think with Johnson, he's not afraid. And this one thing I actually admire about him. And again, one of the words he used when he first came to Sunderland was bold. And I think that's never more true than with his team selections, because every time, there's times when he selects players I didn't even know were in contention to start, or changes up the formation and all that sort of stuff. And the players do seem to be responding to it. So that depth, versatility, and ability to adapt and to change games, if we're going to go into the top 2, is vital to have. And long may it continue, because in the last 12 games, there are going to be players who are going to have to play their part. We're going to need every single player we can get. And that's one of the things that gives me a bit of hope. Oh, I can't believe this. I'm getting positive here. One of the things that's giving me a bit of hope at the moment is I wonder whether other teams have the level of depth that we do.
Yeah.
Certain positions. Obviously, defensively, we're a bit stretched at the moment, but particularly going forward, if Jones is not available, all right, you got Diamond. He's not available. You got McGeady. You got Gooch. You got O'Brien who can play there. You got Maguire, even though I know Johnson isn't Maguire's biggest fan by the looks of it, but he can slot into that position as well. So that's going to be vital towards the latter stages of the season.
Yeah, and I've just looked there. It is 8 league games in April.
Oh, good. Is rubbish then.
An interesting number of fixtures in a month, isn't it? Oxford, Peterborough, Charlton, Wigan, Blackpool, Hull, Accrington again, and Blackpool.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If for me, I know everyone keeps asking us, will we do it? Will we do it? Will we do it? For me, you just said it yourself. The fixtures there, I think we've got Lincoln, then you've got Bristol Rovers, then you've got, I think, Oxford, Peterborough, and Charlton. Is that right? Is that the first few? That
is correct. Yep.
So after the Charlton game, I think that's when I'll be thinking, okay, let's see where we are after that run of fixtures.
We've got Hull 2 games after Charlton as well, so 3 games after Charlton.
I think out of our last 7, I think it's like Wigan, Blackpool twice, Accrington, Hull, Northampton, and Plymouth or something like that. So Hull's obviously the big one out of those latter 7 fixtures, but you'd back out of those 7 fixtures, I'd be disappointed. Those last particular 7 group of fixtures, I'd be disappointed not to win at least 5 of them. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, the game did get started last night, and very similar to the So the cup final, it was slow. Neither side really looked like scoring. And it was a weird start to the game in a way, John, off the back of the club's first win at Wembley in 48 years. They didn't have much confidence in themselves in the first half, I think, really.
I don't think it's necessarily about confidence, because I think at the moment they are a confident bunch. I think you've got to take a few things into consideration. We said on the last pod that they are going to be probably a little bit leggy, like Michael touched on, and I touched on last night. The pitch is absolutely dreadful. We can't really play, because obviously our game is get it down the wing and get balls in, but we seem to adapt a little bit and play the long ball into Wyke, and obviously without O'Brien there, we're leaving Wyke very isolated. So it just looked like for the first half we're just sort of lumping balls as well, and it wasn't like a toe-to-toe game, like you do see with some of the teams in League One. It seemed they were more up for just trying to bully us. Obviously, there was a few tasty challenges, and I can't even remember who number 7 is for their team, but a disgusting little player, just wanted to scrap.
I think, is it?
Yeah, just wanted to scrap with everyone. I'm sure he even elbowed Lyndon Gooch late in the first half. Gooch got booked for it, and
he got
again, the referee didn't help, didn't sort of calm it down, and and even probably a prime example is weeks gone by, Lukai Nines carried the ball out with ease, turned his man and brought it out, and sent us on our way. But a couple of times yesterday, just the pitch and other mitigating factors just slightly came into it, and he'd lose the ball, and those are the sort of things you're dealing with. It's a different game as opposed to going to Portsmouth, and they're going to try and go maybe a little bit toe to toe with us, and that suits us down to the ground. But these ones like yesterday are proper ground out. They're not going to be classics. We're going to instantly forget about all the football and just remember we won 2-0 and it was a great 3 points. And I think that's all we need. And obviously, again, not blowing me in drum, but that's the sort of thing that I'd predicted on Sunday when we did the podcast.
Yeah. Gooch had a few chances in the first half, but failed to really test their keeper. I think Diamond had a decent effort saved. Charlie White wasn't able to get on the end of it, but as we've seen a few times this season, Michael, the final pass just wasn't quite there in the first half.
No, well, that again, from what I watched, I did think Sunderland looked okay up until we got the final third, and half the time the criticism is the decision making. Gooch, in particular, like I've said countless times, is quite suspect to it. But I think that when you look at what we have, when you look at the fact we, again, like John said, like it's an ugly pitch to play on, and Accrington are not. Accrington, and I know that Accrington obviously had a bad run of form, but they're not exactly pushovers. They're quite a resolute team. So I think it's quite difficult to try and break that down when you're expected to be on the front foot. And maybe it was just a question that obviously later on in the game, Accrington maybe put a lot of energy into it and tired. But yeah, I agree. First half, the execution in the final third just wasn't quite there. But the good thing is we didn't go in front early. All right, keep plucking away. We will eventually get in front.
Yeah. Well, it was 0-0 at half time, and like I said, it was similar to the cup final. Both teams defending well, but neither side creating much. But Johnson did make a sub at half time, John, as you mentioned before. Ross Stewart for Jack Diamond on his debut. It's not often you see subs that early, but do you think the first half was, I'm not sure I'm putting this the right way, but it was bad enough to warrant that early of a change?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you probably see that they have a few chances and, don't get me wrong, some absolutely dreadful finishing by them. A bit of quality, and, we're maybe 2 or 3 goals down. So it's, you've got to ride your luck a little bit, and, it's going to get to the point where, even Johnson's going to notice it and think this can't happen. Where our outlet is Charlie Wyke. We know at the moment he's on fire, but against 3, big burly defenders, and we're lumping the ball up to him. Even though I wasn't impressed with his all-round performance yesterday, Wyke, he's not going to be able to do that. We're sort of negating what he brings to the team. Whereas if you put O'Brien next to him, it's, I'm not O'Brien's biggest fan, but recent weeks he's done well in there, and given Wyke, maybe a little bit less of being marked by 3 defenders. So bringing on Stewart was probably a masterstroke for Johnson, really, because as soon as he come on, it gave them someone else to think about, as opposed to just two wide men who the Accrington fullback sort of probably dealt with ease. So if we are going to lump the big ball, which sometimes we've got to do, then it's it's a no-brainer to put the big man on there. And to be fair, he actually did all right. His hold-up play was okay. He was putting his body about, got some tackles in, and it almost spurred us on a little bit. And it gets a goal, and then we can look back and think, wow, Johnson's played an absolute masterstroke there.
Yeah. And Michael, obviously, Ross Stewart is, he's 6'4". I think he's quite mobile. He's certainly more mobile than Charlie White is. He's good in the air.
Well, that doesn't take much, but to be fair,
it doesn't. But also you've got Aidan O'Brien, who again, I think he's 6'1" or so, good in the air, not particularly too mobile. But that is very promising for Sunderland going forward. The fact that Ross Stewart's now fit, Aidan O'Brien is out at the moment, albeit I don't think he's out for too long. You've got three strikers who are very good in the air, with Aidan McGeady and Jordan Jones either side of them.
Well, exactly, and I can tell you right now, a lot of opposition teams will dread playing against that. You can tell, again, you've touched on it. McGeady, Jones, two players that for me are too good for this level. You've got Aidan O'Brien, who, I think I would have liked to have seen a bit more from him in his time at Sunderland, but he's come from the Championship for a reason. And then you've got Charlie White, who's obviously, I think he's the top goal scorer in League One now, but I could be wrong. And then I think as well, you've got Ross Stewart. It can add a different dimension to the team, and if that's the case, it's pretty promising. And again, it touched back to what I said before: the squad depth and size of the squad, especially going in the offensive options, are what we're going to need throughout the latter stages, about the last 6 weeks or so of the season. This is where we could see other teams fall away because of the lack of depth, and the fact we've got. Can't complain. As long as obviously they don't get watch all of them get injured. Now I've said it, but there you go.
Yeah. We did start to go in the game, and on the hour mark there was a goal. Lyndon Gooch on the right hand side, he's crossed it into the far post, and Ross Stewart was there for a header that looped into the far corner, John. And I'm not entirely sure who posted it on Twitter. You might have to remind me on this one, but that's now one game, one goal, and one winners medal for Ross Stewart. Not a bad week, is it?
Yeah, not bad stats at all from Mr. Stewart, which I did point out on Twitter. You can't ask for more than that. 100% goal ratio per game. So, that's what we're looking for going forward.
And how much do you think that goal took the pressure off Sunderland, John? We've seen plenty of times this season, not so much when Lee Johnson came in, possibly the first few games, but we've scored a goal and it's almost unsettled us more so than it has unsettled the opposition. But especially over the last 6 weeks or so, we've got the first goal and the game management just seems to be a lot better nowadays.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot better. Obviously, yesterday when we did score, I think you did see them sort of pick up, and it did make us a little bit erratic. Those are sort of times you want to see your lead bitters coming on, and just keep the ball, recycle the ball, and barring the 10-15 minutes after we did score, it was like that after. But yeah, for those 10-15 minutes we were rocked a little bit. But again, we dealt with that. Sometimes you've got to ride the storms. We can't have it all our own way, and every single there was like you say that little period where I think that was about 6 tackles from Sunderland players, and even I think there was even a report that Kirill Louis Dreyfus sort of shouted "Yes, Charlie" when he won a tackle. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's literally fighting, for the cause. So it's we know it's not all going to go our own way, but we've got to dig in, and every little bit helps. You can't let your guard drop for 1 second. We know that as Sunderland fans. One little lapse of concentration, and we're in trouble. One bit of complacency, we're in trouble. So it's good to keep that focus. And I was saying, obviously, whilst we're watching it, let's just if we can just get that second goal, we can, and that will just kill them. Obviously, it came a little bit late, but the last sort of 6 minutes of time, we just saw the game out. So it's proper, like you say, it wasn't a beautiful performance, but we'll take 3 points in the battling performance.
Yeah. And as John's led on to in the last 5 minutes, it was 2-0. There was a corner that we'd won. Max Power took it. He crossed it in, White's header, and the game was sealed, Michael. And that's 27 goals now for Charlie White this season, which is, given where he was a season ago, 2 seasons ago, is pretty incredible. But goes without saying, What a season he's having.
Just wow. I couldn't. I don't know what on earth has happened to Charlie Wyke this season. I mean, even before, before Johnson came in, he was getting a few goals here and there, but I still wasn't looking overly convinced by him. But Johnson's transformed him into what it did.
Yeah.
It's not just the fact that he scored a lot of goals as well. That I think his off the ball stuff's been much better. I think that I think he didn't do it as much in the cup final, but that was probably because he was isolated. But whenever we tend to lump the ball towards him now, he seems to actually be that outlet that he should have been for the first 2 years that he was here. And it's again holding the part of his responsibility, other than scoring goals, is when Sunderland are under pressure, hoof the ball towards him. He can hold the ball up, slow the game down, relieve a bit of the pressure on our back line, and he's doing that better. He's using his physicality better. And I don't know what it is. He must have took something illegal to do this, because he did not feel like a player from the first 2 seasons at Sunderland. Because the first 2 seasons, for his size and his height, he got dominated far too easily in the air. Every time the ball would come to his feet, it would bounce 10 yards off his feet. I don't know what it is, but you know what? He's like I think I touched on it. I think a few pods ago that of all the players that are out of contract, he's the one, probably 09 the other, the ones that are most playing themselves into contention for a new contract. And you know what? Fair play to the guy. Can't knock him.
Yeah. Well, the game did finish 2-0, and I think we moved up to third. Obviously, Lincoln are below us, and we do play them on Saturday, and we have a game in hand on them as well. So if you win that game on Saturday and then win your game in hand, things are looking very good in terms of that. Obviously, Hull are still top of the table. I think we have 3 games in hand on them, and we are 8 points below them. Peterborough are above us. We've got them to play soon. They're on level game, so that is a huge game in April, which is also on Sky Sports. But we will move into the player rating from the game and start with Lee Burge, who I wrote one word for, and I put untested. So I've given him a 6 out of 10 because he had nothing to do in the game, I don't think, John.
Yeah, same. Not a lot to do. Clean sheet. I was a little bit worried when their player went through 1-on-1 against Vokins, and Vokins did well, to be fair, but Burge just sort of seemed to accept it was going in, and then as it went wide, he sort of put his hands up, and that was any little time it worried me. But yeah, we protected him well. So yeah, run of the mill 6, but a clean sheet, can't argue.
Yeah, Michael, for you.
Well, without question, it's a type of game he would want your goalkeeper to have. I don't want our goalkeepers to be busy. So yeah, but yeah, 6, straightforward.
Conor McLaughlin, wherever he played, he did start. He did his job, did nothing special, just kept it simple, played some simple passes, defended well. Wrote a 6, but probably a high 6. John?
Yeah, I've gone for 7. I thought he was solid again, and technically he's very, very good on the ball, and just did a few things that kept us just ticking over, and yeah, he was good defending as well. So yeah, I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Probably same as John. I'd probably end up going with a 7. I think again that's the type of game where you need your defenders to really dig in and do the gritty stuff, and he did look to have done that. So that in that sense, you can't blame him. Especially when you're part of a back four that has changed from the weekend as well, against a team that is aggressive and but also likes to play on a horrible pitch. Can't complain.
Yeah. And Deon Sanderson started in the centre of the back 3, or on the right of a back 4, whatever it was. Defended well and was a lot more impressive in possession than he was recently. Obviously, he's always been decent in possession with the ball at his feet, but he just ran forward with the ball a lot more than we've seen recently. There was a few times he took the touch instead of playing a simple pass. He drove up the pitch 15, 20 yards and then played the pass and got us up well, albeit the attack did kind of break down. But give him a 7, John.
I've gone for an 8 actually. I thought he was superb. He won all his one-on-ones, and yeah, I thought it was very, very good. But a lot of times players went up against him, and he just, I don't know how, but every time just seemed to come away with the ball just effortlessly. I can't even say it. But yeah, I thought it was an 8, and obviously we all probably shit ourselves when he was on the floor and the physio had to come on, but I think it was just precautionary. So yeah, I'll give him an 8. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Same rating as John, another 8. I think the reason that he's able to do what he does is simply because he's too good for this level. And all I'll say is, if we go up, get him permanently.
Yeah. Luke O'Nien also started in defence, and he missed a very good chance to make it 1-0 with a header that I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to do with it. I don't know if he tried to head it towards Wyke for him to have a shot on target, or if it was just a terrible headed shot, but he missed it. He was caught in possession a few times. There was one time he was on the ball, he didn't really know what to do with it and conceded a free kick because of it, just on the edge of our own box. Luckily, it did not come to anything. But I've went with 6 for 09 yesterday, John.
Yeah, I've gone for 6. I thought he was very good in the air, but yeah, like you say, he gave away some silly fouls, gave away possession. Obviously, the pitch didn't help, and he needs to know sometimes. We need to just get rid. The chance he missed was quite a shocker, but he probably thinks he's playing centre back, so automatically he just thinks to head it wide. So we'll let him off that one.
Yeah, Michael, for you.
I'll probably go with a generous 7, actually. I think it's a similar thing to the other defenders where on a pitch where you're having to do the ugly stuff, I did think that he did that fairly well. But obviously, yeah, it probably would have been rated higher if he had actually scored that chance, because I couldn't believe it especially when I watched it back, how actually good a chance that was. But you know what? Again, it amazes me the professionalism that he's got. You could play him in almost any position, and he seems to do a good job at least.
Yeah. Moving to the left back or left wing back, Jake Vokins obviously started and defended fairly well, especially when he was 1v1, as John mentioned before. He did well, he got back. Showing his pace. I think Callum McFadden would probably still be chasing him now if he was on the pitch. But he played some neat passes into McGeady. He got up and down the left wing very well. I thought it was probably his best game since he did sign for us on loan, and I'd have nothing against him starting on Saturday against Lincoln. So I've gone with a 7 for Vokins. John?
Yeah, I've gone with the same. Yeah, 7. Solid performance. Distribution was a lot better. He was pinging balls down into the channels, and they're actually going to our players. So that's a massive bonus. I'll probably expect McFadden to come back in the weekend just to shore it up, I think. But yeah, 7. He did well.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Same rain. I think a good old set, another 7. I don't know how many of them I've given actually, but I think with Vokins, I think in particular, I'll mention that across his Sunderland career when he's played, I think that he started out shaky against MK Dons. I think that was his first game in the 2-2 in the league, and he did look a bit shaky. But I thought that I didn't watch the Shrewsbury game, but that was probably a good thing, to be honest. And I think after that, the games that I've seen, I thought last night he looked solid. And I thought against Burton, which was the other game he started, once he got the handle of Smith, Burton's left, I think it's his right winger, he's starting to grow into it. And we have to remember, he hasn't played, I don't think he's played much first-team football, has he? I could be wrong
Not
on that.
Much, no.
I think it's only like one game for Southampton. So, I mean, I personally quite like the look of Vokins. But obviously, I think it's safe to say, I think when Hume comes back, if he can get him involved, he's still my first choice. But at least we're not short of options at left back now.
Yeah. Moving into the midfield, Max Power obviously started at right back on Sunday, but he was in midfield today. And he gave the ball away a lot in the first half and never really got us control of the ball in the midfield. I know John likes a good stat. So he did have 55% pass accuracy throughout the game, which is not particularly impressive, but he got an assist, which of course will boost his rating slightly. And when we went 1-0 up, he did contribute well defensively. So I've given him a 6, purely because of that. So yeah, John.
I've gone for 7. Again, stats never. I don't know if it's the performance or the stats that tell the real story, but I thought he was okay. Yeah, he did give a few balls away. Obviously, we're asking him to play right back one week and midfield the other. But I thought it was all right. He was solid enough. Like you say, he got an assist, and you can hear the cameras. He is proper rallying, which we haven't seen as all season. But I was quite impressed with that. So I probably notched him up one more for that as well. So yeah, 7.
Yeah, Michael.
Same 7. I think again he's starting to really grow. I don't know what you two think. I think he's starting to really grow into the captain's role, and I've been very impressed with how he has took responsibility. And it's one of those key things. You need players in your team that are going to do that. You need players in your team that are going to do the ugly stuff and the gritty stuff and and stuff that a lot of the unsung stuff, to be honest. So yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, it wasn't his best game in the Accrington game, but at the same time, I think I'm amazed at how good he's been the last few weeks.
Yeah. Alongside Power was Carl Winchester. He was composed on the ball, but again didn't really give us too much control in midfield in the first half. But the second half, much better. His passing was crisp. He won his fair share of duels. So I went with a 7 for Winchester, John.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I thought he looked a bit effortless. I can say it now in midfield. Kept the ball reasonably well. Doesn't panic either. He seems to get 2 midfielders always tracking him, and he just sort of turn pirouettes and and then lays the ball off nicely. Yeah, and he was, again, another one, nice and fierce in the tackle when, with those sort of 6 tackles in a row. So I was quite impressed with his commitment as well. Yeah, and obviously it doesn't make us rush Leadbitter back with him playing so well. So yeah, 7.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Same as well. I think as well, it's good to see that I think he's starting to settle into the club now. I think that he's starting to come into his own, because obviously we got told that he was, playing above his level when he was at Forest Green in League Two. So I think the last couple of games he's really started to grab my someone who's good. It's like we talked about with the squad depth up front. I think the squad depth in midfield as well is good. If Leadbitter can't make it, then you got Winchester, you got Power, you got Scowen, you got an abundance of options within there as well.
Yeah. Moving on to Lyndon Gooch. You put a great ball in for O'Neill, whose header was wildly wide of the post. That's even harder to say than what you were trying to, John. But worked hard outside of that. Good ball in for Stewart's goal. So I've went with a 7 for Gooch as well, John.
I've probably been a bit harsh here. I've gone for a 6. I thought he worked hard, did some good defensive work, and got an assist. But it was just, there was a few moments I was just a little bit frustrated. Yeah, I'm probably being a bit harsh there, but yeah, I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Well, John, I'm going to join you in that club. So yeah, I would say a 6 as well. I think I've said my piece on Gooch, to be honest. I do think again his work rate's second to none. I like that he brings that, and that is important to a team. But yeah, my God, his decision making in particular can be so infuriating. It really can be. But you know what? I think at the minute, because he scored at Wembley, he's probably have a place cemented in the side. Maybe to be fair, after Lincoln, like again with the squad having a bit of a rest, he might benefit from that, because Gooch has been a pretty key part recently. So,
Yeah. Well, Jack Diamond started the game and he used his pace well. He looked athletic going forward when he had the ball. Obviously, had a decent effort saved in the first half, but at times his decision making was poor. And for that reason, I've went with a 5 for Diamond. Possibly harsh, but if I say a 5.9, it might sound better. John?
Yeah, I've gone for 5. I don't think it was that good. Again, decision making's a little bit, suspect, but given his age, you've got to expect that. And again, I'll probably give him a little bit of credit. I don't think playing him against, a team that's sort of heavy in defence is really going to benefit him. There's no real space to work into, as opposed to against Tranmere, last sort of 25 minutes is perfect for him. He's got pace to burn and a lot of space to run into. I just don't think it was his game. But yeah, 5.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Same rating again. I think the Diamond's one for me at the minute. That might be a very good impact player to come off the bench, but I just think the thing that
what more?
I don't know, for Diamond, I think him coming off had to be the necessary evil, so to speak, because it allowed Stewart to come on and give us a bit more up front in terms of a dimension. So, but yeah, Diamond, I think there's definitely promise with Diamond, but it's like kind of a bit similar to Gooch, it's just a bit younger, whereas I think the decision making needs to be better. But we've got to remember, I think how old is he? Like 21?
He's very young, very young.
Something
be around that, yeah.
Fair enough.
Aidan McGeady obviously started on the other side, and he did see very little of the ball and did very little with it when he did, in regards to what he is capable of. Obviously, he was booked for kicking the ball away at 0-0, which was just silly, really. And that's probably why he was taken off, albeit, again, his performance wasn't great. It was probably one of his poorer performances of the season. And another start, he gave the ball away more than anybody else on the pitch. So I've given it a 5 out of 10 for McGeady yesterday, John.
I've gone for 6. I thought he was okay on the ball. Like you say, picked up a silly booking, for losing his call, because he didn't just kick the ball away, to waste time or anything. When you saw the camera zoom in on him, he seemed like he sort of told the ref to fuck off, and then, went in his face, and probably lucky not to be given another booking straight after that for doing what he did in front of the referee. Another frustration with him would be he got the right back was booked fairly early on for tripping him over, and I don't think after that McGeady tried to take him on once. That frustrated me. As soon as one of their fullbacks gets a booking, let's get the ball to McGeady next 5-10 minutes and let's see what he can do. He's either going to beat him or, get booked and get sent off. That's the sort of things we've got to step up on. But yeah, it wasn't that great. But yeah, I've given him a 6 because I thought he was okay.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
Probably a 6 as well. I think He wasn't particularly bad, but he didn't really particularly stand out either. But to be fair, like I think he's probably allowed allowances like that when he's been as good as he has been to come back into the side.
Yeah. And the last player, which is going to be a very obscure rating, is Charlie Wyke. Performance-wise, it was poor from Wyke, I thought. He hardly won a header in the game, and at times he was bullied by their defenders. But the one header he did win resulted in our second goal and won the game and just killed the game completely. So I think I had him down as a 4 for his performance, but when you score the goal, I went with 6. So yeah, John.
Yeah, I've gone the same. First half, I thought he was dreadful. Second half, I thought he was a little bit better with someone almost alongside him. I don't think we can keep isolating him too much, especially against sort of like 2 or 3 big defenders who are just going to win headers on him. I'd expect to see a little bit more from him, sort of putting his body around. I'm not asking him to do the press after he's done 90 minutes at Wembley, but let's give us a little bit more. And he probably covers up his performance with scoring a goal. That's what he's there to do. So straight off the training ground as well. So at least they're working on stuff behind the scenes as well. So yeah, 6. As long as he keeps scoring, we'll let him get away with some of them performances now and again.
Yeah, Michael, for you?
6 as well. It's literally like I said. I think I think with Wyke, I think you two pretty much said it. If he keeps scoring the goals, you can forgive the fact that he can be a bit anonymous in games. The good thing as well is that because Stewart comes on, it adds something a bit different up top, and he's not quite as isolated. So maybe that's something to look forward to in the future.
Yeah. And the last rating we will do will be Ross Stewart. Obviously, he did come on as a sub at half time. In fact, we'll make 2 subs because 2 of them did have a fairly big impact on the game. But we'll start with Stewart. Obviously, went close with a header minutes after coming on and just went over the bar, I think. But scored on his next effort on the hour mark. Looked comfortable with the ball at his feet. Wasn't a bad debut at all. I've went with an 8 out of 10 for Stewart. Couldn't fault him at all. And he arguably won us the game. So, yeah, John.
Yeah, I'll probably go with an 8 as well for impact. Like you say, class goal gives us the gives us the nod in the game. And yeah, he held the ball up pretty well. Some nice touches and generally works hard. Looks like he's really up for playing it, and that's what you want to see. You can see he's been out for sort of 6 weeks, so you can see the frustration, and it's nice to see him come on and actually make an impact straight away. So yeah, it'd be good for him.
Yeah, and Michael, for you, Ross Stewart.
Well, change the game. Like if you look at it, just the way that he literally got himself about the pitch was a busy bee, for want of a better phrase. He probably would have been an absolute nightmare for Accrington to handle. Scored. Obviously, that header was perfectly placed, perfectly timed. Maybe you could argue the keeper should have done better, but either way, that's the goal that set us on our way. Him coming on the pitch gave us something else to look for up front. Good partner for Wyke. Couldn't have gone any better. And as you said, he seems like he's got a high rating in this particular game, and he's won a cup without even playing. Not bad for a start. Yes. Not bad for you start at Sunderland, is it?
It's really not. It's really not. And the last player that we'll talk about will be Josh Scowen. Obviously, he came on. I'm not entirely sure what minute it was, but I think it was fairly early. I think he came on for Aidan McGeady, albeit, again, McGeady was looking like he was probably going to get himself sent off or something stupid like that. So it was probably a good decision from Johnson. But Scowen came on in midfield, did his job well, won a fair amount of tackles, and he just brought more energy into midfield. So I think it was 7 for Scowen, John.
Yeah, same, gone for 7. Probably a perfect player to bring on just before Ledbetter. We know Scowen can cover a lot of yards across the pitch, and yeah, I thought he shored it up in there for us and sort of didn't let him have it easy. So yeah, 7.
Yeah, and Michael, for you?
Likewise, good old 7. I think that Scowen is scoring. I keep getting confused on pronunciations, but either way, that's a player that could be, again, like I touched on with the midfield thing. He's someone that can be quite handy to have, especially when you've got someone who can get up the pitch. My only criticism of him is that I think that sometimes he gives the ball away a bit too cheaply. But yeah, that aside, though, he does a lot of. I mean, the groundwork he puts in to try and win the ball back is immense. And like I said, in the run-in, with the amount of fixtures we've got, that's going to be crucial as long as we can use him correctly.
Yeah. And man of the match, John.
I'll probably give it to Ross Stewart. I thought Sanderson was good at the back, but I think for coming on and making an impact like Michael said, it did change the game for us. And if he's listening, it will do him the world of confidence to know we gave him man of the match. So
Certainly will. Michael, for you?
Man of the match, cup win, change the game. Ross Stewart, can't complain.
Certainly can't. Well, the next game is against Lincoln, which is a must-win, John. But your predictions for that one?
I'll go for gritty 1-0 home win.
Michael, for you?
Every time we come up against a team that's in poor form, I'm always pessimistic because I know what's around the corner. I think I'm going to be a bit pessimistic and go with a draw. I don't know. I just think the winning run's got to come to an end at some point, but it's a big opportunity to pull clear of them. If we can do it, then that can set us really high to start putting distance between us and fourth downwards.
It certainly is.
Edit that
and the
bit
last
out.
thing,
We don't want any. We don't
we
want
don't
any.
want negativity, do we?
We don't want any draws. No, edit that bit out, Michael. I'll be
All right,
Michael, predictions for the game on Saturday?
Fine, Lincoln. You know what? Sorry, I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to blame you too if we get beat or don't. Fine, I'll go 2-1 Sunderland. If we perform like we can do, we should be able to beat them. If we have to pick a time to play Lincoln, it's got to be now because they've lost to Rochdale, who are bottom of the league. They've lost to Gillingham, Gillingham to be fair are a decent side, but I don't want to underestimate them, but if we really want to get into the top two, Saturday's a big opportunity to make it a 3-horse race, put it that way.
Yeah.
I'll put my neck on the line here. I don't think we're going to get beat between now and the end of the season. I just think we've got that now.
Whoa, that's a statement. Come back to this in a few weeks.
I just think we will. I think there's going to be a few little bumps, the odd draw. I just think, probably 2 or 3 draws. I think we'll win the rest of the games. I just think there's a shift in momentum now at the club with, we're on the right track. So I've put my neck on the line here. So, in a few weeks, someone can shoot me.
Yeah. Just out of interest, John, how many points then do you think we need to finish in the top 2 then? How many points do you actually think would be enough? Well,
I think with us not losing, I think a lot of teams are still up there, like Peterborough dropping points, here and there. I think Hull probably will, and obviously if we're going through, and beating teams, we only probably need to pick up points at at Peterborough and at Hull. Not that I'm saying we can't go and beat them. I think we will. I just think with the run that we're on, I just think it can continue, and we're good at just getting the jobs done. Like I say, it's not going to be all plain sailing, far from it. But I just think we've got that knack, and if we could do that, I think top 2 is easily, even top. Obviously, with that run, you'd expect to finish top.
If you beat the likes of Peterborough and Hull, I think it lessens the points that you would need because it's less points they can make up on you. This is, again, it's getting too positive. I think John's getting us too positive here, and I'm waiting for the fall to come. It's just, I think part of it is because I can remember the position we were in 2 years ago when we had 2 games in hand on Barnsley, level on points, and we threw it away from there. But this time, I think we have got a better manager and a better, what's the word I'm looking for? Better overall feel around the place, I suppose. And that everything coming. It would be a perfect end of the season if we could just end the hoodoo. End this hoodoo of not being able to get out of League One, get promoted. But we'll see. It's 12 massive games. But now on.
And like last time, even I was saying it, we probably all were. We're saying, oh, don't worry, we've got games in hand, Don't get me wrong. We want those points on the board. But I just think this time around, I don't think we're that complacent. It's Johnson's game by game, and I think we could do it with the squad. The injured players are starting to slowly flow back in, and like you said, we've got squad depth to treat each game. Nice break next week, for which will be good for us, and then into the business end. I just think we've got what it takes.
Yeah, and just quickly going back to what Michael said, I've never heard anybody put good team and Gillingham in the same sentence. You heard that one before, John?
Only from Phil Parkinson.
I tell you, don't get me started on. To be fair, they actually played all right stuff when they came up here, and I wasn't surprised. Actually, you might shoot us for this. I was not surprised that Gillingham beat them, Lincoln in midweek. I wasn't shocked. Maybe by that scoreline, but I wasn't shocked that they beat them.
Got to say, I'm not a fan of Gillingham. I think a lot of that comes down to the manager, doesn't it?
Is it because of Steve Evans?
I'm not a fan of Steve Evans.
I'm going to take it. I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of anyone in this league. I think it's very simple.
I think if Gillingham are playing Peterborough, I think Gillingham still got to go to Peterborough, so I think you'll be a Gillingham fan for that 90 minutes. Put it that way.
We will be. Just for that 90 minutes, I'll be spotting Steve Evans.
Oh, we'll be rooting for Gillingham to do us a favour. There you go.
We will.
That way.
Well, that is all we have time for. Appreciate you both coming on.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
We will, of course, be back on Sunday to talk about the Lincoln game, which is on Saturday. But until then, we will see you later.
That's all, folks.